Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this info session on preparing for IHI Call 9. Just to briefly present the agenda today, my name is Catherine Brett, and I'm going to give a brief introduction and explain a little bit about the call at a very high level. And then I will hand over to my colleague, Nathalie Seigneuret, if we can just have the slide with the agenda, sorry. And then we'll hand over to Nassima Amakat, who is our events officer, and she's going to present how you can get out of the brokerage platform and event. After all the presentations, we will have time for questions and answers, and for that you should use the Q&A function, which you should be able to see as a little button on the bottom right of your screen in WebEx. So before we get started with the main event, just some housekeeping notes. So we are recording this webinar and we'll be publishing it on the IHI website and on our YouTube channel. We will also publish the presentation slides. And as always, this call isn't launched yet, so all information should be considered indicative and subject to change, and we'll publish final information once it's all been approved by our governing board. So, in terms of the timeline for Call 9, as I mentioned, we're still very early, we haven't launched yet, so today we're just going to give you some preliminary information on the call and guidance on how to network and share proposals. Next week, we plan to publish the draft call text on our website, so do look out for that and have a good read of it when it's online. In November, we obviously have our face-to-face brokerage event in Brussels. Registration is very much open, and Nassima will talk about that in a moment. And on the 14th of November, you will have an opportunity to hold online meetings also on the platform in a group. The official launch of the call is planned for early 2025. And then we will hold detailed info sessions on the call itself, on our rules and procedures, and all the financial aspects of the proposal, as we always do. So again, look out for those and register when we open the registration for those. Very important point, the brokerage platform will remain open for registration and networking it's already open and it will stay open until the call deadline. So what are we doing in IHI Call 9? So as you know, if we look at it as a kind of journey, in previous calls for proposals, we told you what we wanted you to do and where we wanted you to go. We told you the scope of the topics, the impact we expected you to achieve, and all the outcomes. This time it's applicant driven, so you are very much in the driving seat. You can choose, we want you to choose where you're going to go and how and things. However, there are limits. You have a map, you have to stay within the boundaries of that map. And the map is the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda, which is online, and we really do suggest you read it carefully. Obviously, it's not enough to come up with an idea for a project. It has to be an ambitious project. We're a public-private partnership. We're a large-scale program, and we want you to be big and ambitious in your project proposals. And again, because we're a public-private partnership, this isn't a solo trip. You need to find some travel buddies from the public and private sectors. And again, Nassima will give you some advice on how to do that. So that is IHI Call 9 in a nutshell, and now I'm going to hand over to Nathalie, who will give you a bit more detailed information on all of these points.
Thank you very much, and if we can have the next slide. Maybe before we enter into the more details of what we plan for this applicant-driven approach, it's important to remember about the objective of IHI. The Innovative Health Initiative have ambitious objectives that are to deliver safe, effective health innovation that cover the entire spectrum of care, particularly in areas where there is an unmet public health need. But it's also to turn the health research and innovation into real benefits for patients and society, and of course to make Europe health industry globally competitive. So that's really the key points to remember, because if we move to the next slide, you will see that everything will work around this objective. As a public-private partnership between the European Commission, the European Union represented by the European Commission, and the Healthcare Industry Association that are listed in this slide, every single project is formed by a collaborative public-private partnership consortium, reflecting the integrative and cross-sectoral nature of the partnership. And of course, in each consortium that you will build around, has to have all the necessary stakeholders in order to address the objectives that are pursued. If we move to the next slide. Now let's go a little bit more into detail of this Call 9, boosting innovation for a competitive European health ecosystem through a novel applicant-driven approach. And next slide. Why are we piloting this applicant-driven approach? Through a broad scope and having an open call, we believe that we create additional research opportunities on harness new science and technologies. And we are attractive to innovative proposals. This is what we are looking for, and to a range of new stakeholders, including smaller players, private members that might not be already involved in IHI activities. But it provides as well opportunities for new cross-sectoral collaboration, in line, of course, with the general objective that I just mentioned before and the IHI specific objective. Through this applicant-driven approach, we enhance openness and as well the co-creation of the research ideas that will lead to projects. Next slide. The overall objective of this Call 9 is to fund pre-competitive research and innovation actions that are in line with the general objective of IHI and address at least one of the IHI specific objectives as they are set out in our strategic research and innovation agenda that was already mentioned by Catherine, and where you have again the link here. If we go to the next slide. So this Call 9 will be articulated around each of the 5 specific objectives. So basically, the Call 9 will have 5 topics. On one topic, we'll cover the strategic objective number 1, which is contributing towards a better understanding of the determinants of health and priority disease area. The second objective, so the second topic of this Call 9, will be around the second objective, which is integrate fragmented health research and innovation effort, bringing together the health industry sector and other stakeholders, focusing on unmet public health needs to enable the development of tools, data, platforms, technologies, and processes for improved prediction, prevention, interception, diagnosis, treatment, and management of disease, meeting the needs of end user. The third specific objective, so the topic 3, will be around the demonstration of the feasibility of people-centered. I'll come back to the, yeah, thank you. So to demonstrate the feasibility of people-centered integrated healthcare solution. The fourth specific objective, so topic 4, will be all the solution looking at exploiting the full potential of digitalization and data exchange in healthcare. And finally, our specific objective number 5, which will be the topic 5, is everything around the development of new and improved evaluation methodologies and models for a comprehensive assessment of the added value of innovative and integrating healthcare solutions. Now, if we move to the next slide. So for each topic, again, that are covering one of the specific objectives, we may have activities that cover the whole health innovation chain from discovery to implementation, considering also the different innovation cycles of the pharmaceutical and medical technology industry. Here are just some examples. Of course, it's not limited to that, but the activities may cover maybe around discovery of new molecules, mechanism of action, processes, technologies, or development of methodology for the assessment of safety, health outcome, or health economy evaluation, standardization activities, contribution towards regulatory science, pilot proof of feasibility, including silico trial. These are just examples that are mentioned in our strategic and research innovation agenda, but of course, it's not only limited to that. We would welcome as well proposals that aim to demonstrate the feasibility or the scalability of integrating solutions into national or regional healthcare system, or of innovation per se. But of course, it's important to remember we are a public-private partnership that fund pre-competitive research. So all the proposal and all the research should remain at that level. So it's important to keep this in mind. If we move to the next slide, we talk a lot about the strategic research and innovation agenda, and we certainly encourage you to now read it really carefully if you are interested by this applicant-driven approach. But now, if you haven't read it, be reassured. So each specific objective are described in a maximum of 2 or 3 pages before a first introduction presenting the vision of IHI. Now, under each of the specific objective, you will have information on what are the current challenges, how IHI could address them, suggest for potential outputs for IHI project, and describes the medium to the long-term impact. This is very important to really look at that in this careful manner, because as we said, we have a broad scope where the objective will be to address one of the specific objective of the strategic research and innovation agenda. And we put again the link. So again, important to read carefully this document. Now going back to the next slide and how things are going to be articulated. Each topic, covering again one of the specific objective, will of course as a scope to address directly the challenge and the scope of the relevant specific objective. But of course, there are points as well that needs to be considered. So these are like how the proposal can address an unmet public health need, and this can be based on one of the below, meaning looking at the high burden of disease for patient and our society, the high economic impact of the disease for patient and society, or the transformational nature of the potential results on innovation processes. Now, another point important to consider is to demonstrate the ability to translate the research into innovation solution that can be integrated or implemented into the healthcare ecosystem and or in the industrial processes. So again, we want to make sure that whatever we do, we are not at the basic research level, but we want to have the transformation to innovative solution that can be implemented. Of course, when relevant, and this is really important, and it's at the core as well of IHI, is to make sure that all the relevant aspects of patient centricity are considered. If we move to the next slide. Now that will be a little bit different than the typical call that we had launched so far, since now expected outcome, well, it will be very much up to the applicant to define the expected outcome based on what are the objectives of the proposal put forward. But of course, this expected outcome will have to contribute to at least one of the potential outputs that are linked to the relevant specific objectives that are mentioned into our strategic research and innovation agenda. One important aspect is that the expected outcome needs to address public health needs and support the development of future health innovation that, of course, are safe, patient-centered, effective, cost-effective, and affordable for patient and healthcare system. It can cover the whole spectrum of care, as already mentioned, be health technology centers around disease and/or key themes such as prevention, personalized medicine, chronic disease management. They may, of course, also include solutions for key enablers, such as digital, artificial intelligence, data, regulatory science, implementation science. So it's very much open, again, within the frame of what we have in our strategic research and innovation agenda. If we move to the next slide. For the impact, so this is a little bit in the similar as for the outcome. That will depend very much on what are your objectives of the proposal that you want to put forward. However, again, it's important that the impact will contribute to one or more of the expected impact that are linked to the specific objectives selected based on those strategic research and innovation agenda. And being a public-private partnership as well, we want to, and being in our core objective, we want to contribute to the strengthening of the competitiveness of EU health industry, and of course, being a program of Horizon Europe, want to contribute to the different relevant initiatives and policies. If we move to the next slide. Now, there are some additional considerations because I mentioned that with the call, we'll have 5 topics, each one of them corresponding to one of the specific objectives. So that means that if applicants and with the proposal will have to decide and submit only on the one topic. So it's important to consider which of the specific objective is the most relevant to the prime focus of the proposed research question that you want to address, and submit that only under that corresponding topic. This is important because probably when I describe or when I listed the specific objectives, you could see that there were some complementarity, some interconnection. So obviously, it's quite sure that your idea or your proposal might address more than one specific objective. However, it's important to remember you will always a prime one on which you define your proposal. And then, of course, if it affects over a specific objective, of course, you will highlight that in your proposal. But this is important to select the one under which to submit the proposal. If we move to the next slide. So what should you think about? So to be a good fit to IHI, it's important to think of a couple of key aspects. Your proposal should be pre-competitive, should contribute directly to the IHI objectives and address one of the specific objectives, address an unmet public health need, be cross-sectoral, consider the public-private nature of the partnership, of course, so leveraging the contribution coming from the industry that are part of the industry association. So again, these are EFPR, including Vaccines Europe, COSIR, MedTech Europe, and Europa Bio, the EU public funding, and if relevant, contributing partner. And contributing partner are those that are not belonging to the association who wants to contribute, but that needs to be approved by your governing board before being embarked into one of the projects. What's important, as already mentioned, be innovative, ambitious, and having, of course, through a clear research question and a clear objective, will deliver clearly described impacts to the society, the economy, and the science. If we move to the next slide. This was to give you already some information about what we plan for this applicant-driven approach and to give you already a sense of what we are looking for. In terms of process, it will be a standard single-stage process. And therefore, that means that straight away, you need to come with your joint public-private partnership as a consortium. And it will follow the standard rules, meaning that in terms of the funding, we have an eligibility criteria, which is that have a minimum of 45%, but we prefer to have a bit more, of the project cost must come from the contribution of the IHI industry members and, if relevant, the contributing partners. So that will remain. But of course, there will be more explanation of this at the time of the call launch, but still, it's you need to have this in mind because that will be important for the for your building your idea, for the networking with within the brokerage event and as well outside the brokerage event, is to really make sure that it's a standard single stage process and therefore it corresponds to the standard rules for eligibility and the consortium size, of course, that we need to have at least one organization established in the EU member state, plus the organization established in the EU or a country associated to Horizon Europe. Now, if you want to have already more information, you can read our guides to applicant on which, but again, more information will come closer to the call launch and dedicated info session. But it's just already to flag that even if it's an applicant-driven approach that is broader than what we have done so far, the rules and the process remain similar to the single-stage process. And I think on this note, I have finished this presentation, and we can move to the next slide with Nassima.
Thank you, Nathalie. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Nassima, the Events Officer at IHI. I'm here to present you the new brokerage platform and explain what you can do inside it and how you can best prepare for the brokerage event. So on the next slide, It's important to know that the brokerage platform is a platform which is open 24/7 till the call deadline. So you can access it via the link on this slide, but you can also find all the information on our website in the Events tab. With this tool, you will be able to share a proposal, to look for proposal, and even look for partners interested to collaborate with. So on the public homepage, you will also find the agenda of the brokerage event. In total, it's a 3-day event from the 12th till the 14th of November. So you have to know that the first 2 days are dedicated only to a face-to-face event in Brussels, where participants can present their proposal via a pitch, and they can also have a poster about their organization. And the 14th of November will be dedicated to online networking. So on the 14th, we will open virtual lounges, and consortia can keep working and bring in people who were not able to attend the face-to-face event. And if we move to the next slide. So on the next slide, you'll see, so once you have registered, you will arrive to the homepage. Here, I will mainly focus on some important tabs, which you will need to be able to share your proposal and pitch. But just for you to know, on the left-hand menu, it contains the main navigation menu that you will have on the platform. So this is the page that we are only accurately viewing is the dashboard. So you can find all the main features that the platform is providing. You can click on each link and it will direct you to the dedicated page. And if we move to the next slide, this is an important tab because it gives you some guidance on how to make the most of the event. You have to keep in mind that the platform is your opportunity to share your proposal and present it via a pitch at the face-to-face brokerage event, and also to have a poster on your organization. But if you have to, if you want to have more information, I will advise you to read this page. Then I will jump into the proposal on the next slide. So I would say that this is the most important tab, and it's a dedicated space for users to share and manage their proposal. So here, the IHI office is giving you a tool to work on your proposal, to start networking and building your consortia. Keep in mind that when you are ready, you will have to submit your proposal via the Horizon tool by the call deadline. So this tool that I'm presenting today is just a tool for you to prepare your proposal, but then the final one needs to be submitted via the Horizon tool by the call deadline again. So as you can see on the slide, and as mentioned by Natalie, the topics are based on the SRIA, so is the proposal tool. So you can see that you can, choose one or multiple specific objectives that fit your proposal. And I would like to emphasize also one important thing. So when drafting your proposal in the tool, we are giving you the possibility to have your proposal hidden or visible, meaning that before entering all the data, you can set it to hidden, and then at a later stage, you can set it to visible. If you set it to visible, then it's directly available for other people to see it. So, and we can change hidden and visible as you want. I mean, there is no limit. Once all the information has been populated, you just have to click on Save Changes, and your proposal will be submitted in the tool. And on the next slide, you will see that once your proposal has been submitted, it will appear in your proposal profile, and you will see it in green that the proposal has been submitted. Here, I would like to emphasize the fact that at the end, you will have 3 different profiles. So you will have the company profile that has been set in the registration form, the person profile, which also has been set in the registration form, and then the proposal profile will appear once you have submitted your proposal. You can also add a new proposal if you wish. There is no limit in the platform, and a proposal can be modified at any time. Just to modify your proposal, click on the edit profile on the right-hand side, and you can modify it as you like. I would like also to tell you that there is a tab called How to Prepare Your Proposal. Here we have consolidated some tips to prepare your proposal, and I really encourage you to read the information that may be useful before submitting a proposal in the tool. Now, if we go to the next slide, this is also an important and interesting tab. So all the proposals which have been submitted will appear here, and you can explore all of them. You can filter those by keywords or specific objectives, and you can combine filters. Once you have found an interesting proposal, you will be able to contact the person who has submitted it and start networking with it. Now I will focus on the pitching slide. If you go to the next slide. So the pitching is an additional way to share your proposal at the brokerage event. So participants who would like to can present the proposal in a concise and impactful way through a 5-minute pitch on stage. By clicking on this tab, user can find guidelines on how to prepare a pitch, tips for a successful pitch, and details about the pitch format and deadlines for submission. An important information is that we only accept pitches from people whose proposals are also published via the platform. This is a really important point. And we ask also users to use the template provided. So you can see that there is a blue action button to download the template in the platform. And the use of the template is mandatory, and the slide using other templates will not be accepted. Another tab, which is the poster, if we move to the next slide. Before moving to the poster, this is a really some key information for the pitch and people who wants to have a pitch. So as I said, we only accept pitches from people whose proposals are in the platform, the use of the template, and here you also have the deadline. So you need to email your slide to us via the event mailbox by the 28th of October, and we will inform you if you have been selected by the 31st of October. So now we can move to the poster tab. So this tab offers the option to showcase your organization via a poster at the brokerage event. So here we are providing the users with all the information about the poster, the size, the deadline for submission. Here it's important to say that due to space constraints, because we are doing this in a venue, as the number of posters is limited, space will be allocated on a first come, first served basis. So here you have the deadline by when you need to send us your poster. It's by also the 28th of October. So then we'll decide who will have a poster at the brokerage venue by a first come, first served basis. Then I would like also to have a quick look at the next step. So if you move to the next slide, it's about the travel grant. So here you will see that the NCP Wideranet users can find information about eligibility for the travel grant. So you can see the list of all the countries participating, and they are also published in the IHI website. And finally, I will focus on the two next tabs, the last tab. If we move to the next slide. So those two tabs will be important once you have messages and meetings. So once you will be interacting with other people in the tool, everything will have to be here. So, and then you can follow up on your messages and meeting requests on those two tabs. And then I have a conclusion slide. It's a quick recap on the important information. So as I said, the platform is available not only for the brokerage event, but till the fall deadline. If you want to deliver a pitch, do not forget to have a proposal submitted in the tool and send us your presentation by the 28th of October. If you want to have a poster, please let us know by the 28th of October. Please remember that due to space constraints, the posters are limited and we will apply a first come, first served policy. And of course, you can leverage this tool to share your proposal, create consortia, but also to create networking opportunities. My last slide will be the email contact. So yes, if you have any need or support, please contact us through the events mailbox. We will be glad to help and assist you. And now I'm ending the presentation. I hope it was clear enough, and I give the word back to Catherine.
Thank you, Nasima. If we can move to the next slide, because I am very aware that you have received a lot of information this morning and your heads may well be spinning. So to focus your minds a little bit, here is what you need to do if you want to be successful in this course. So point number one, you need to study the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. There are links scattered throughout this presentation. All the information on this call on the IHI website, you will find a link, and it's also, and has been since the beginning of IHI, in the About section of the website as well. So do download it, read it carefully, because it's the backbone of the call. And if we move to point 2, get informed. You've done a great job by joining this webinar. This is really key. But obviously, we're still quite early in the call. We're going to keep on releasing more information over the coming months as we get to the call launch. Stay up to date with it. I assume a lot of you, if you're at this webinar, you probably already are following us on social media and receiving our newsletter. But if you're not, then really do sign up, because we'll be publishing updates regularly. Point number 3. As Nazima said, the brokerage platform is really the place where you can showcase your expertise. So take the time to prepare a strong profile that shows everybody else who you are and what you're capable of and what experience you have. Number 4, you need to network. Again, we're a public-private partnership. You need to build a consortium. It's absolutely fundamental. The brokerage event is really going to be a great place for that. It's face-to-face, so it will be much more organic and much more spontaneous. But if you can't make it to the brokerage event, as Nazima said, the platform is online 24/7 until the call deadline. So do use it, and also use other events and opportunities, your own networks as well. Don't rely just on our tools. They're excellent and they're really there for you, and they're made for this call. But, you know, networking is key. So put effort into it if you want to join or build a strong consortium. And finally, number 5, again, this is an applicant-driven call. The scope is extremely broad. You need to come with project proposals, and obviously not everyone is going to have one, but if you have a proposal, if you have an idea, share it on our platform. As Nazima explained, we have a whole section where you can share things, you can change it, you can update it as it evolves. We would love to see you pitching at the brokerage event. We want lots of people there sharing their ideas. I've heard it described as a marketplace of ideas. That's really what we want, people sharing their ideas and then networking around them and starting to build consortia for what we think is going to be a very exciting call for proposals. So those are your tasks. I think we can now close the presentation and move to the Q&A, and we do have quite a lot already, so thank you for those. We'll do our best to address as many as we can. And the first question I think is for you, Natalie, and the question may well be wait and see because it's not available yet. The question is, what is the funding amount available for a project under Call 9?
So exactly, the question is wait and see, because all that is still, as we said, we have this information session, but the call is not yet fully finalized, and therefore all this information will be available once we launch the call.
Okay, and the next question is similar, but it asks how many industry partners should be involved. I mean, as we explained, this is a single stage call, so it's not so much how many partners, it's what they're bringing in terms of contribution. So again, half of the contribution of the cost of the project has to come from industry partners, and if you have them, contributing partners. That's the most important thing you need to know at this stage. Again, if you want more details of the single stage call process, it is in our guide for applicants. We will present it when the call is launched, but this is something you really need to bear in mind. You need to be a public-private partnership with public and private contributions at the 50-50 level. We have some more questions on the SRIA. Would there be eligibility for a biotech startup looking for partnership for growth and acceleration? What do you think, Natalie?
So I think, and it comes to another question, which is a bit about what is pre-competitive and what is, because if you are talking about I am a biotech and I want to have funding to go and to work with people, I don't know what is your research question. What does it mean? So again, we have a strategic and research agenda, which really cover a lot. But of course, within that boundaries, we need to really define what is the research and what is really the objective that we want to achieve in a project. Just saying that I want to grow, this is not an objective that fall under a public-private partnership. Now, and with respect to, and maybe I addressed already the question on the pre-competitive level, in our strategic and research agenda, it's clear that we need to remain at that level, meaning that we are not aimed to deliver products or service directly on the market or directly implemented. So if you are, for instance, someone with a great idea, but it's just like, oh, I don't need necessarily to work in a consortium. I just need funding in order to get my product on the market. This is not IHI. So again, it's very important to develop solutions that can help and foster the development of products that will reach the healthcare and be on the market and can be used by more than one and can really advance the field.
Okay, and we have a couple of questions on different disease areas. So someone is asking if neurodevelopmental disorders such as autism, behavioral treatments, meaning non-pharmacological treatments, would be in scope. Would rare diseases be in scope? I mean, I think it's worth pointing out here that when you read not if you read the SRIA, but when you read it, you will see it's disease agnostic. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what we mean by unmet needs, Nathalie.
Yes, so I mentioned earlier on that indeed we are talking about public health need rather than medical health need. However, public health need, and in the slide it was the dimension on what it entails, and of course a disease is entailed. So even if we are disease agnostic on the strategic and research agenda, obviously we are open to address any aspect that is a public unmet need. And you probably have seen, when you mentioned rare disease, you probably have seen we have already launched a call in the rare disease area space. So it's important as well to remember which call we have already tackled, because this is definitely something that we might not want to see again in this call, unless you look from completely a different angle, and this is still something that needs to be covered. Neurodegenerative, sorry, I can't remember. It was a neurodevelopmental area disorders. It can be covered again. We are open to anything that really address a public unmet need.
I mean, I think as well, when you see the actual proposal forms, not the smaller one in our website, although that gives some indication, but when you look at the full proposal that you will have to prepare if you really decide to go for an application here, you will have to spell out, a lot of the scope and what you want to achieve. And you will have to, I mean, these proposals will be evaluated by independent experts. So you will need to justify your choices to them and explain why you think that this should be something that IHI should be working on. We have a couple of questions on who the partners of IHI are and who funds us. So we are funded by the European Union via Horizon Europe to the tune of 1.2 billion. We also have 1 billion committed from the IHI industry partners, which, as Nathalie said, is COSIR, FPIR including Vaccines Europe, Europa Bio, and MedTech Europe. And we also have an optional 200 million, which other organizations that want to contribute in a similar way to industry partners, they can also contribute as IHI contributing partners, although their participation, as Nathalie mentioned, does have to be approved by a governing board. So that's who we are. Again, all this information is on our website. Another question, and again, this one is for you, Nathalie, would clinical trials be covered?
So again, it depends what we are talking about here, but of course, clinical trials may be activities that are necessary in order to achieve the objective of your project. So yeah.
Okay, and another question, can you specify what implementation science includes? What do we mean by that?
So basically, is to think already like how what I'm doing is going to be implemented in a way in real life. So it's just to really anticipate how the outputs of your project will be implemented. So that needs to be built around, and there are some thoughts already on that needs to be embedded into your work plan in a way.
Okay, and there's a question, would it be in scope to have something leveraging academic innovations to translational platforms for the benefit of patients?
So we won't answer to specific, like, would it be okay? I think, again, we have a strategic research and innovation agenda with some specific objectives that are broad enough. So if you can demonstrate with your proposal that indeed by leveraging academic innovation, you can really have something that benefits for patient and fit under one of our strategy, one of our specific objective, obviously it can be considered and think about it and how to build your idea around that.
Okay, we have quite a long question now with a number of elements. So firstly, would it be of interest to target one disease area or better to target more than one?
So that, again, we leave up to the applicant to define what is really your objective. And then based on your objective, either sometimes you may have some use cases targeting different area to demonstrate that whatever you have in mind is applicable, or you have something more specific to a disease area. Again, it's up to you to define, and based on our strategic research and innovation agenda and our specific objective, what exactly will be your research question. What is your objective you want to achieve, and to have this quite clear in mind in order to articulate the best proposal to address that.
Okay, the questioner is then asking about the budget and duration, but as we said, that information is still being finalized. So
again, the duration of the proposal will be very much based on your proposal. Some proposal might be 3 years. Some proposal might be request a bit more because the activities are probably will be requesting more time. So again, it will be very much depending on what you are planning to do and what you are looking for.
And then the question is, are in-kind contributions of IHI industry members feasible? Well, they're not feasible, they're essential. Again, because this will be a single stage call, when you apply, you will have to bring a consortium with contributions from the IHI industry members. And if you have them, the contributing partners. So that's absolutely essential. And again, that's why we have the brokerage platform. And linking up a bit to another question I can see about, will the private partners be at the brokerage event? The answer is yes, they should be there. So yes, the willing entities to cover the project's costs from industry, will they be at the brokerage event? Yes, they should be there. And then there's a question on participation. Can Switzerland, UK and US-based partners participate? Again, this is on the rules and procedures. We're not going to go into the details here, but all of this information is in the guide for applicants. And also we have an FAQ document as well, because this is one of the most common questions we receive is on the participation and who can receive funding. So do have a look at that. Do we have an estimated deadline for the call? Or is this something else people will have to wait for, Nathalie?
For the call. So if we launch the call early 2025, so sometime the proposal will be in spring. Sometimes so we leave sufficient time as well to prepare the proposal. But again, all the defined timelines will be released at the time of the call.
Yeah. I would add as well that, I mean, because we know that building a big consortium it's a lot of work. We're very aware of that, but that's precisely why we're starting with the promotion of this call and the brokerage event now. And I mean, as those of you who are familiar with IHI and even with IMI in the previous years know, we always publish our call texts well ahead of the launch in draft form, so that you do have that additional time to work on your proposals and start building a consortium. Deadline date for registration for the brokerage event, Nassima, is there a deadline?
Here there is two things. So when you register, you will have to choose between attending on site or attending online. So you have to know that for the attendance on site, we have a space constraint. So we can have a maximum 400 people on site. So I would say that due to the space constraint, we will have to apply a first serve, first come policy as well. But for the online, we don't have any limit. So I will encourage you to register as soon as you can, if you want to attend on site.
Okay, and someone is asking, can I submit a proposal idea despite not being a coordinator? Absolutely.
Maybe,
I would say.
Yeah, and maybe I can add again here, maybe it was you didn't see that much under the slide. We are at this co-creation, co-ideation stage. So really we want to attract, we don't decide yet who, or you don't have to decide yet who will be coordinator, not coordinator. For the moment, it's really to really co-create together with the different partners who will be at the brokerage event, but as well outside the brokerage event, on what could be a good idea, how to build it, who should be part of the consortium, if we want to really submit this idea as a proposal at the time where we launch the call officially.
Okay, and there's another good question about the brokerage events. What criteria are we going to use to evaluate proposals for pitches? I mean, basically, it will be to check that you are actually within scope of IHI, is the answer. I don't know if you want to add anything there.
Yeah, and it's like the use of the template.
Yeah. So, and obviously that it's submitted by the deadline, and that you have published your proposal idea on the platform as well. So those are kind of the criteria, but obviously it does have to be within scope of IHI, and hopefully after today you have a bit of an idea of what that is, but it has to be in line with the SRIA, and it has to be a public-private partnership. Another very good question, is it mandatory to pitch in order to apply for the call? Absolutely not. The pitching is a great opportunity to get your idea out there and start building a consortium and attracting people to it, but it's not mandatory at all. And again, there's a question, and I think we've had it before, but it's such an important point. Is it mandatory to include IHI industry members in your consortium, or can you include other industry partners? I don't know, do you want to take this one, Natalie?
So again, we have to remember this eligibility criterion of the 45%, so minimum 45% brought by the private members of the IHIGU. So obviously you may have some other partners, but you still have to ensure that you have this 45% coming from the IHI industry of private members, and if contributing partner, but you need to have them.
So someone is asking about if they share an idea in the marketplace, is there some kind of non-disclosure agreement or protection? No. So I mean, you should only share information that you're comfortable sharing. It's not confidential. Anyone who registers for the event will be able to view your proposal. So yeah, that's it's a public platform, and if you want to share more confidential information, then you need to, once you start building a consortium, then you can start moving into that area. But the marketplace, the proposal section of the website is visible to anyone who is registered on the platform. And the idea is to promote your idea there. So that's one thing to bear in mind. There is a good question here. Are there requirements how far the results of projects in Call 9 are from the market? For example, do the services or projects that are developed need to reach a certain technology readiness level at the project end?
So that actually, there are some elements in the proposal templates that are already available on the website, and that we will have again for this Call 9. But of course, you will have to explain all the aspects about the pathways to outcome and impact. So of course, that means that if you are very far, or if you are very low TRL, that might impact your outcome impact. So again, it depends very much what are the objective of that you have in mind for your project.
So someone is asking if our proposal is not accepted for the pitch and the brokerage event, can we still submit our proposal in the portal? Absolutely. The two are not linked. The proposal form that we have in our brokerage platform is for you to start developing ideas. We in no way expect you to start putting in there a fully fledged project proposal. It's an idea, it's some first thoughts, and the goal is to put it out there so that you can start attracting consortium partners. As you will see, if you go to the form, there's a section where you can say what expertise, if you've already started to build a consortium, what expertise you already have and what expertise you're missing, for example. So it's really a starting point. But you know, if you don't want to use our platform or all our events at all, you don't have to. It's there to help you though, because what we do understand from talking to applicants from previous calls is that building a consortium is hard. So we've put all of this in place to help people who want that help. But if you don't need it, you are not required to use it. And then there is a question of when will the call be launched? It will be launched early next year. Yes, in January, hopefully. And someone is asking again, how do we reach out to people from the industry partners and secure their participation? So again, you need to network. One way you can network is obviously through our networking platform and the brokerage event. There will be people there from the industry associations and from their companies. And you need to go to them with what you're going to bring as well and what you would want from them. Actually, I can advise you the HNN3, which is the network of national contact points, put together a little while ago a very good guide on how to network. It's quite extensive. I would advise you to go and read it because it also has advice on things like, how to approach a coordinator, what kind of things you need to do that. So that's a very good guide on networking. But our number one piece of advice would be use our platform. It really is created for this call. So there's a question as well as should industry partners be involved in the project proposals before one is selected per topic? I'm not clear here if you're talking about proposals that we submit to our tool or proposals that will be submitted officially via the Horizon tools as a response to the call itself. In terms of things that are in our tool, you don't need a consortium at all. If you have a project idea, you can put it out there on your own. But if you want to apply for funding after the networking, after the call is launched, if then you really decide to go for it and submit a proposal formally through the Horizon tools, then yes, you will need the industry partners involved. There are also, I'm just going through the questions to see which ones I have missed. Yeah, there's a little question on funding. So my colleague told me some of your calls are research and innovation action, 100% funded, but in the slide it says 45%. So here we have to draw a distinction between the funding of the project and the funding of the participant. So if you are eligible to receive funding, then you will receive it at 100%, the 100% rate as is standard for Horizon Europe in the research and innovation actions. But the project will not be funded 100% by Horizon Europe. It needs to be funded at a minimum of 45%, ideally a bit more, by the industry partners. So that's the distinction. It's between the individual organizations funding and the project. And again, we will go into all of this in the rules and procedures webinar. But the important message for now is network, 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 and build a public-private partnership. And then again, there's a question on the consortium size. Do the three different countries, three organizations, they have to be from three different countries? Yes, they have to be three different countries. What is usually the possibility to be picked for funding by IHI? So this is on our success rates. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, Nathalie.
Sorry, what was the question?
So the question is, what is the possibility to be picked for funding? So I think the question is, what are our...
So again, I think we have mentioned that, you need to put all the chance on your side. So again, we have some points that we mentioned during this session, that what is important to remember. So definitely is to fit under IHI, the objective, and as well to be under pre-competitive and to be ambitious, innovative, and to have the public-private partners. So then, depending when we are in a single stage process, or depending very much on the number of proposals to be submitted and the budget, we have to see how many we can fund under each of the topic that we have. So I don't have a figure that I can give you right now. But again, to put all the chance on your side, what is very important as well is to make sure that you have understood the configuration of IHI, and therefore, and that will be again important at the time when we release all the documents for the call launch, is to read as well the instruction under the proposal template, because this really gives hints on what we expect you to address that will be looked at by independent experts when reviewing the proposal. So this is very much to put all the chance on your side, because you have addressed elements that are really reflecting the public-private partnership and the cross-sectoral nature of IHI.
So there's a question as well asking, will only pitches offering a concept for proposal be selected, or will pitches offering expertise for a specific objective to join a consortium be considered? The answer is no. The pitching is for people with proposals for projects. If you want to showcase your expertise at the event, you can do that via the posters, as Nasima explained. So that's the answer to that one. And if you want a poster, do you also need to publish a proposal on the platform? No. The posters is really for organizations to show your expertise. And if you have a proposal, that's great, but it's in no way essential. Then we have some questions on, I'm just trying to find some of the most relevant ones about that we're in a position to answer today, because we are, again, very early on. The platform form is only a tool to prepare, right? The official way to submit a proposal will follow later, or is that also through the platform? So you're correct. The platform is a tool to prepare. The official way to submit a proposal will be, again, exactly the same as for all previous IHI calls. It will be through the Horizon portal, through the Funding and Tenders portal of the European Commission. Would you just, this is more a question about the kinds of areas we would fund. Would we consider the development, not discovery, of a drug in this call? What do you think, Nathalie? Would that be in scope?
Well, the thing is that development of a drug is, we fall very much on the competitive, and I'm not so sure it will fit any longer under the competitive. And you have to remember that you need to agree to work all together in a consortium, and really by working together mean as well sharing everything around and being so. Developing a drug per se, I'm not so sure that we will fit, and we are not here to again develop a specific drug. We are here to develop solutions that enable the faster development of drugs.
Okay, there's a question for you now, Nasima. When registering to the platform and selecting either in-person or on-site attendance, does it matter which we select if our company hasn't yet decided on attendance? Can one attend the events even after selecting online attendance only?
Unfortunately, no. So you have to know if you will be attending online or on-site. That's what we have divided the two registration forms. So yeah, you have to know in advance if you will be attending on-site or online.
I mean, for us as well, it's obviously important. I mean, we picked a decent sized venue, but it's the capacity isn't infinite. So it's important for us to know who is going to be coming. I'm just looking because we have a lot of questions which are all quite similar and have already been answered.
I think I see one question that I cannot find it any longer, but it was about a topic about discovery, drug discovery. So it's not what we presented is activities that can be under the topic that may cover several aspects, but our topic will be only at the specific objective. So we won't have a specific topic on a particular aspect like drug discovery. So again, it's under each of the strategic research and innovation agenda specific objective. And once we publish the call text, there will be more example of what it entails. But you see already on in the document that there are elements, and of course that can be attracting some aspects on how we can develop tools that could facilitate the drug discovery. That certainly fall under, but it's not going to be a specific topic on drug discovery.
Okay, there's another very good question next to this bottom-up call. Will there also be top-down calls in call 9? The answer is no. This is call 9. It has the 5 topics, as Nathalie explained, which are aligned with the objectives of the Strategic Research and Innovation Agenda. I do see that we are now at 11:30, so I mean we're running out of time. I'm just going to have a quick look through to see if there are any other questions very much relating to the event. One is, where will the Brokerage on-site event be held? It will be here in Brussels. Can I give a speech online during the Brokerage days? No, if you're pitching, you have to be in person. And again, another question here, which I think is a very relevant one. We're a group of SME partners looking for an academic or corporate coordinator. Does it make sense for us to pitch our project, or is it expected that pitches will be carried out by coordinators? No. So if you're in this situation, what you should do is put your proposal in the platform, first of all, and you can explain the expertise you have, and you can explain again in the form that you are looking for someone with the capacity to be a coordinator, because being a coordinator, as many of you probably know, is a big task. And if that's what you're looking for, put that in the proposal and feel free to pitch as well. So definitely you can pitch.
Maybe the next question is important.
Yeah.
Would there be another brokerage event?
Yes, so the fact is this is our only brokerage event for this call. But as we said, I mean, the platform itself is open all the time. And we also know that there are multiple other events going on in the health sector all the time. So don't limit if you're interested in this call, don't rely solely on our platform and our event. Use all the opportunities you have to network to build your platform, including other events and including your own personal networks that you've built up after you. And having another question, and looking here as well on evaluation, will we use the same as for the rest of the calls? So again, this is a standard single stage call. Will the evaluation criteria be the same though, Natalie?
So again, you will have to see when we launch the call, but in principle, the criteria will be the same. Whether there will be some slight changes in the sub-criteria, that you will have to wait until you see the call being launched.
Yeah. There's a question about refund for the brokerage event. So I assume we're referring to the travel grants. So for that, you should look at the information on that specific page of the platform, because then it depends on where you're from, exactly how you get the things. But the key people there are the NCP Wideranet project. They are the ones. Can you see the questions and answers here again after the meeting? This is a good question. We've received a lot of questions. So I don't want to commit to that now without consulting my colleagues, but I think what we can say is that if we see that there are questions and things that aren't clear, we will make sure we clarify that in our communications imminently, because again, this is a pilot. So in many ways, you are our test group for seeing what questions people have about this call. So it's been very helpful from that sense. But yes, so we will use the questions here to see where we need to clarify. But for some of the information, as well as we said, we're still very early on in the call, so you will need to wait and see. We are now a little bit over time, so I think we will have to close the webinar now. I'm sorry that we haven't been able to get through all the questions, but again, do keep following this closely. We are going to publish the draft call text next week, hopefully. Read it, read the information. A lot is out there already, and a lot of the answers on things like eligibility to participate, eligibility to receive funding. These are all available in the guide for applicants and in our FAQ. We are preparing a small update to the guide for applicants, which will be published hopefully before the call launch. But in any case, again, this is in many ways a standard single stage call. So all the information that you have on the, like I say, eligibility and participation, it will be pretty much the same. So do read those documents carefully, read the SRA and get networking. And we really look forward to seeing you and hearing your proposals in Brussels in just over a month's time. So thank you very much, everyone. And thank you to Natalie and Nassima for their presentations. Thank you to our colleague Sergio, who is, you can't see him, but he's been here trying his best to manage and wrangle all the questions. So thank you to him as well. And thank you to you for attending. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye. Bye.